I was a lash out at the world type person because of what I was going through and not being able to process my trauma, not being able to process my grief, not being able to process the insecurities. I can talk about it from a pre to post, to during to post COVID thing, because that had such a huge impact on me. And I never want to harp on it because there was so many negatives about that time. But that was when I discovered therapy, and I discovered sitting down and talking to someone. I dealt with a lot of grief that I was experiencing. My dad had passed right at the beginning of COVID. And then my uncle, who was meant to be like kind of my go-to now that my dad's gone, he went 2 weeks later from COVID. So, and then I had a kid, and then I wasn't on the road, and we were trying to get back into a new record. So there were all the mental stressors that could possibly exist for one person at one time that existed within this space with COVID in the backdrop. So because I wasn't on the road as much as well, and I had so much time on my hands, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to step up. And I'm going to go talk to someone, because at first, for such a long time, I was a self-medicate type person. I was a keep it in type person. So it took a big step. So now to talk about that in detail as a post-COVID thing, I'm okay. I think for once in my life, I feel very confident about the person I am. I feel almost confident about where I am, because I've never, ever felt that kind of comfortability with myself and my own skin. I've always felt I was out of place. I always felt I didn't belong to where I was at any particular given time, whether it be physically where I was, or whether it be mentally where I was, or emotionally where I was. But right now, I can say I feel a lot better. I'm not out the woods, but I feel okay. It's something that I'm still challenged with day to day. I just woke up today, and this whole thing in the news with Brittany Griner and stuff like that, that's something I would talk to my dad about. That he and myself, he was my main political collaborator, so to speak, when it came to things of that nature, because he opened my eyes to so much when I was a kid. So, I was like, I could hear him in his voice. I could hear his accent just telling me, just talking about it, and the fact that I was saying to myself, like, I wish I could call my dad. And then that feeling of grief and loss starts to rear its head, so to speak. Then the idea of comforting myself, or just the idea of thinking about what the conversation would have been like, that was enough for me to kind of push through a little bit and say, yeah, I've lost, but at the same time, it sounds cliche to say, but he's still there. He's very much, I look at my kids and I see him. I look at myself and I see him. I look at my brothers, I see him. I talk to my brothers and my family, and we, I find him there, and I find his spirit there. My uncle, the same way. When I talk to my cousins, we're really close. We're very much the same kind of people. And so it's that grief, that loss. There's nothing that can compensate for someone's presence, but we can heal and allow ourselves to heal if I don't focus on that, on what I've lost, and more importantly, what I have.